our mission objectives for our project is to bring forth one of the first virtual reality experiences for Upland.
Hello, Uplanders. I'm here with Lieutenant Dan. He is the creative director of the X Project, and I'm happy to have him on the next edition of the Upland in the Metaverse, a podcast. I'm your host, YK2012. Thanks for coming on the show, Lieutenant Dan. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, YK. Very excited to be on your platform and talking about the X. It's an exciting time, and being able to work with Upland is just something we've been looking forward to for a long time. So I'm glad I get a chance to speak with you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to you about this partnership, and we can see here in the background, we have your property here, and you are building a metafort in Upland. So we're going to dive into that. We're going to talk a little bit about your game. I'm interested in hearing about your story, about how you created this game, the X Project, and also about all of your involvement in technology and what brought you to Upland. So if you can start just by letting people know how you actually found Upland, because it's very different from a lot of the players who actually play this game.
I'm very happy that we found Upland, because we had to kiss a lot of frogs and maneuver ourselves like inside this Web3 space, and to find the right metaverses to work with. And Upland, in our eyes, is the #1 metaverse. What Dirk and Adon and the entire Upland team is, their vision and what they're building over there is something we've been looking for. And we found them through Uplanders. So we have the X project. It's a big project. But at its foundation is an NFT collection, and that NFT collection consists of 10 commanders, 9 specific commanders that own commanders from our past. So we wanted to find the right people in the Web3 space that could be real virtual generals for us, real people that are doing big things inside the metaverse and inside Web3. And several of those were Uplanders, Satoshi View, Acero, and one owns Napoleon, the other one owns Joan of Arc. And their biggest game and biggest metaverse that they're playing is Upland. And as soon as we brought them, those commanders, into the collection, they introduced us to Upland and what it's all about, and really have been guiding us for almost a year now on this journey to build and integrate inside Upland. So this has been a long time coming. This has been a real focused mission of 2 of our strongest commanders. And they've been driving and really working with us, letting us understand, what we can achieve working with Upland and where the vision is going. So we're taking one step at a time. And but our big root of our first step is bringing that metafort to life that you're seeing. And that metafort is a hub. It's a social hub. It's going to have game experiences that are attached to it, but it's a foundation, and it's our first fort inside the metaverse, and we couldn't be more excited that it's in Upland.
That's fantastic to hear that you have chosen out of all the metaverses to start with Upland and really start building here. So you mentioned this metafort behind us, and it's supposed to be finished in the next couple of days, and players will be able to travel here to East Arlington and actually play a mini shooting game. And in talking to you before this, I learned about this project, and it's a lot more than what people are going to see here in Upland. It's a lot more than just a shooting game. It's a lot more than that. You walked me around your museum, and can you talk to me a little bit about that and the initial idea of this game?
Yeah, so there's a lot to this project. We don't want to overwhelm people with it, because it's like explaining Game of Thrones before it was out, with all these different, we have 10 commanders, 9 from our history. So each one has their own cohort, and each one has their own history. So it's a lot. But when we bring this story to life, and inside this metafort, we have a war history museum that also talks about the past in order to prepare us for the future. So we're going to learn from these generals inside the War History Museum. It's a global museum. We have generals from the past of all over the world. Napoleon, Joan of Arc, Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, Genghis Khan, Sitting Bull, George Washington, Sun Tzu, so many good ones with their stories to be told. And we encapsulated it inside this virtual reality museum. And inside this virtual reality museum is a lot of stories that have been lost in the past. We're not only bringing back these commanders to life through artificial intelligence, where we have a chat system right now that is their brains that you could go onto our website and chat with them. But we're bringing them back visually, auditorially, and psychologically. And we're inside this War History Museum that's in the Metafort is something we really want to bring to Upland in the future. But we're just taking one step at a time. And the first one is a weapons training range. And it's not like your traditional Call of Duty style weapons training range. We're actually always trying to level up the gamer. It's always about the gamer. And this is why we wanted to partner with the Metaverse and with the Web3, traditional, where we're heading in Web3 and in the Metaverse. It's more about the gamers and the users, right? It's less about the bottom lines all the time with the other AAA game companies, several I've been working for, and it's not always about the gamer on their perspective. Ours is we always want to, when we bring something, it's going to be fun, but we want to give something back. And our weapons training range will give you a little bit back on your speed, your precision, your accuracy, and make you a little bit of a better gamer at the same time as being a fun, sticky mini game that we're bringing inside Upland. But we hope to bring, like I said, more, the history, the polemology, the philosophy behind warfare, and in hopes one day, by bringing to life this sort of like virtual army, one day maybe we won't need a real army, because I believe the Web3 space and metaverses like Upland can become like a real force in the world, because we're connected now, and then real change can happen. I always believe that the gamer can become the biggest army in the world and can change everything, because we're finally connected. We can communicate with each other, and we can stop things and make things happen. And this is just one step. And Upland, we see it as just a great opportunity to be part of an amazing metaverse that's doing big things themselves. They're educating people, like you were telling me, YK. I mean, you're learning business. You're learning how, to make money, to start a business, to do development. You yourself and other Uplanders can start their own dev shops. For a metaverse or / gaming company to provide that to the users is something that I dreamt of a long time ago, where the gamer gets back something, right? And with their time invested, they can put down the controller and walk away with something.
I had mentioned that anyone can really come in and create a mini shooter game and attach that to a dev shop, but it really comes into, what goes beyond that. If anyone can do that, what is your added value? Not just you specifically, but anyone who's looking to bring any sort of mini game or opportunity, because becoming an entrepreneur within Upland is extremely easy to do. It will be extremely easy for people to open up dev shops and really add any type of game or experience or app that they want. And you had told me that the full game, the X Project, you've been working on that for over 10 years. Is that correct? Can you talk a little bit about your vision back then and all of this technology that we're starting to experience now, and how you had that idea and evolved that into what it is today?
Yeah, so I mean, this was a long time coming. And I didn't know it was going to end up where we're at right now, of
Well,
course.
10 years ago, nobody knew what an NFT was.
Yeah. So it's like it's incredible how everything happens for a reason. At least in my life, YK, maybe in your life, everything happens for a reason. And over 10 years ago, I started seeing something, and And it was one incident in particular where we were working on a Guitar Hero prototype. It was called Guitar Hero Phoenix. We were
And so you
working with
actually,
our,
so you actually worked at Activision, is that correct? What was your
yes, sir.
position there?
I had several positions there. So I was being groomed to be a creative director. So I jumped in. My first job there was a mission designer on Spider-Man 3, and my specific job tasks were designing the tutorial missions for Spider-Man 3 to teach the user how to use motion controllers. So that was my first start, mission design, and then I went over to tools programming for Guitar Hero 3. And my job on that was to actually add an immersive experience to that system. So I did, that was the first prototypes for the live cinematic crowds. So I did video-based, reaction-based filming techniques that gave the crowd a brain and video formats to make it more realistic. So when you got on stage, it felt like you were in a real stadium. So my job was the immersive experience, and then the engineers were working on the guitar ergonomics to convert that sort of knowledge transfer that we wanted to achieve with the prototype. And then when we did user testing, we noticed that after the user would play for a certain amount of time, we can hand them a regular guitar and they would know a basic chord. And the reactions on their faces were something I'll never forget, where they just were like, what's happening right now? Because they were having an immersive experience where it looked realistic. And then they were playing something that felt almost like a real guitar. And then after they actually knew a little bit how to play a guitar, and I saw right then and there, I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to create video games that give back to the gamer. I want to level them up in the ultimate game, which is real life. That's the ultimate game, right? And Upland's doing the same thing. They're trying to level you up in real life too. They're trying to level up your wallets, your business acumen. You know, this is we're on the same track. There's a reason why I'm here working with Upland right now. We're on the same mission. And once I saw that, so I was working on three different projects. When you're in the innovations lab, you work on, you get to touch a little bit of everything, right? There was three projects that were emerging at the same time. So we were trying to do something new with Guitar Hero. Spyro Skylanders was coming on the scene at that same time. And that's when we first introduced a toy, right? A real life collectible that had a chip in it that would transfer information into the game and out from the game into the real life. So an augmented reality hybrid off a real collectible. So I was seeing that, and then I was working on this Call of Duty prototype that was called Roman Wars, Call of Duty Roman Wars, which was bringing back one of Julius Caesar's memories. That whirlwind of prototyping and development, I saw something that I wanted to focus the rest of my life on, was bringing back information, knowledge transfer, and helping the gamer in a new way through immersive technologies. So I left Activision when I really went after virtual reality when it wasn't on the scene yet. I mean, I was starting to work with the DK1 Oculus before Facebook even bought them. So this was 7-8 years ago. And so I started playing with virtual reality in the early stages, not just because of VR, but because of motion controllers. I have all different motion controllers here, right? I love haptics. I love motion controllers. I love getting the user to move and learn, move, and get better in real life, all well-rounded, so all around. So I've been working towards that ever since, man. And this experience, the X Project, it has a huge virtual reality aspect to it. The museum is a virtual reality museum. And so it's going to immerse you in history in a new way where you can learn and retain information easier. There's a reason why the military uses virtual reality, and now a lot of the colleges and universities have VR labs. There's a reason why a lot of the big companies around the world are using virtual reality for design, new design iterations, because it's fast, it's immersive. We can learn. You can do product designs very quickly. You're going to see a whirlwind using immersive technology and AI. We're going to evolve so much quicker in terms of technology in the next 5 years that people won't even, they don't even realize what's really about to hit them. And I think
It takes rapid prototyping to just another level. I'm involved in manufacturing, and just bringing 3D printers on the scene that allows people to create things that they can actually feel. Looking at something that is three-dimensional on a 2D space is not very helpful. But once you're able to feel it, or once you're able to walk around and see something in the real dimensions, in the real 3D space, you really understand it better, and you can really take a more detailed look at that. So I absolutely agree with you, and it's fascinating to hear the insight that you as game developers are able to see, in the technology that you see so long ago with those digital collectibles that you talked about, that now we know that those are NFTs and it evolved into that. But that is so very, very forward thinking.
Yeah, I've always been more of a virtual person than a real life person. Even when I'm like on my day to day, like living my normal life, I'm running around with a camera. So I'm always viewing everything through a lens, right? I'm always stuck. I'm connected to technology, and you're also starting to, everybody in Web3 and the metaverse are starting to see like, okay, this is part of our lives now. Like technology and our regular lives, they're stuck together. Now, how do we evolve past these two worlds and merge them together? And Upland's doing that. That's why you can make money in Upland, but you're making it in the real world, right? You
Yep.
start a business in Upland, but you're actually learning business fundamentals that will actually translate in the real world. This is just the beginning. And so we can help people in a whole new ways. People that are struggling in their real lives can now jump to a virtual side and see all new opportunities, job opportunities, business opportunities, meeting new people and connecting. Everybody looks and knocks these technology and where we're heading as it's you see all the commercials, especially in America. Maybe you're not seeing that every time you see a VR commercial, it's like you're locked into this headset and you're away from everybody, right? That's
It's
that's
going to
not
be
true.
the mixed reality, augmented reality, a lot sooner than we're going to be seeing virtual reality. And we see this, even everyone uses Instagram filters, and that's augmented reality. So people already meet it every single day. They might not know the technical terminology, but these are things that consumer brands are incorporating into their products right now. And all of this technology is here. It just needs a better vehicle to be passed on to it, and for people to understand what they're seeing. Everyone knows these filters, but they might not see it from the side that the developers are seeing it, that maybe players in Upland who are looking to create these experiences and understand how Upland can be integrated into the real world because it's mapped to real world properties. So I think that that's one of the big added values of Upland, is that you can really see and go to a shop owner in the real world and create a really cool experience inside of the metaverse. And we see that with a lot of brands coming into the metaverse, where they're looking to own their own real world properties, because creating that connection between the real and the virtual is just, at this very point in time, it's really cool. And where that will evolve and innovate into the future is just something that I don't think we can even fathom yet, what we will be able to do within the metaverse with all of the augmented reality, virtual reality, everything in that space.
You're absolutely right, YK man. And I hope one of our like objectives, our mission objectives for our project is to bring forth one of the first virtual reality experiences for Upland. So right now we're building our fort. We're going to have a mini game, a range, weapons training range in there just to play and just to have fun and sort of build a community around that and give the Uplanders, something to play in a new area that we can help build and grow in Arlington, in Texas. But we really want to bring the first virtual reality experience. And then hopefully after that, we're going to bring the first XR experience. This project is the X. It stands for a lot of things, but we believe in mixed reality, the combination, XR. And we think that's where everything's heading. And we see Apple is going after it. And we understand because we use all the Oculuses. We have the Oculus Pro. We've been on it since DK1. We see their pass-through cameras and their technology evolving for their pass-through camera. We know they're going to a mixed reality headset. And the combination is where we're going because we have to do a combination in order for us to enjoy both the real world and the virtual world. So we're hoping to, the metafort is a blessing that we're able to bring it, our first metafort to Upland, set up our outposts in all different cities around Upland so we can open new things up, maybe a museum in Rome, a Colosseum here, something in France. Really, all of our generals are all spread out. Alexander the Great in Greece, Genghis Khan in Mongolia, we got Napoleon and Joan of Arc from France. I mean, the Julius Caesar. We have such a global collection that we want to set up our outposts everywhere and open these new experiences up and hopefully really bring one of the first VR experiences to Upland.
That sounds amazing. That's a big vision that you have. And I think, you really do need a big vision if you're going to succeed in this space. If you're not shooting for the stars, you're not going to you might land on the moon. I want to ask you this one question that I think can really help other people who are looking to become entrepreneurs in the metaverse. You're an entrepreneur that started your project 10 years ago, and it's still in development. And now you found out about Upland, and you managed to create a partnership. And 10 years later, there's going to be a mini game which is going to be in Upland. And what would you say if you were one of these historic commanders? You've obviously researched that a lot. What would be your advice from their perspective to someone who's thinking about becoming an entrepreneur in the metaverse, maybe starting their own meta venture or starting to design some map assets or manage their own cafe in Upland? Anyone who wants to become more entrepreneurial, what would your advice be from them from the perspective of one of these historic generals?
I would have to say, first, you need to find some good lieutenants. So a good little army around you, even if it's only one or two guys, right? So you're a force multiplier. I would have struggled a lot just trying to go into Upland and launching a project, right? If I didn't have guidance from guys that understood Upland and that metaverse, I wouldn't have even attempted it because it wouldn't have been I wouldn't have did it justice to the Uplanders if I didn't have mentors like Satoshi and Essay guiding me through the process, and then meeting with the execs at Upland and talking it through. So I had it's hard to do entrepreneurial stuff alone, even though sometimes you have to do a lot of the groundwork yourselves because everybody's not going to be invested in your vision like you. And the generals will say the same thing, right? When Napoleon first started, he was laughed at, right? They never thought he was going to become a general. Joan of Arc, everybody laughed at her, right? Who is this young girl that thinks she's going to lead an army? Are you nuts? Right? Julius Caesar as a young guy, and even when he went to Gaul for the first time, they try to get rid of him. They're like, yeah, go to Gaul. You're not going to do anything over there, right? They didn't think he was going to conquer it and then come back and be Caesar. So everybody that you have a vision, and everybody's going to try to stomp on your vision. You got to find a couple people that can share that vision with you, that have those complementary skill sets that you don't have. I have to have other guys that are invested, that are gamers in Uplands, that can bring back that information to the generals, basically, which is you. You're a general of your own life, right? You're a general of your own entrepreneurship. So surround yourself with like-minded people that can share in your vision, that complement your skill set really well, and there's nothing stopping you then.
That's excellent advice, and I think to tie that into Uplanders, we see people that are really creating these nodes and building up communities and starting to create things like racetracks and working towards a vision. And it's hard to do that as one person. So it's really important to not just play and earn in Upland, but using the connect aspect is really going to leverage these things like play and earn. So doing something alone in Upland or just anything alone is a lot more difficult. You really should align yourself with like-minded people who believe in your vision, and that can help propel you forward at an accelerated rate. So that's great. Congratulations on your partnership. I look forward to testing out this game once it gets released in the next couple of days. So stay tuned, everybody, for Upland announcements about the X project, and we'll see you in the metaverse. Thank you, Lieutenant Dan.
Thank you. I really appreciate this time. Thank you, everybody, for checking this out. And we're going to see you in the metaverse.